Welcome to Story Time with Brother Henry.
I hope you're all feeling relaxed and tranquil today. We're going to come back at it with fan fiction. This time on some different Avengers, and Elizabeth is going to be reading in her dulcet tones a wonderful fan fiction called Mad for You. It's about Bucky. So I'll read the summary here. Nat hosts a costume masquerade. Bucky meets the Alice to his Hatter. Ooh!
Shall we begin?
Let's begin.
Okay.
Chapter 1.
Can't wait to see your reactions. Chapter 1. My first period. No, joking. Bucky readjusted his mask for the 100th time that night. You're gonna break the string if you keep doing that, Steve warned, coming to stand beside him and offering him another beer. Because we all need more than one beer in our life.
Yeah. Especially if you're Bucky or Captain America. I can't imagine that they just drink one beer.
No. Why the hell do we have to wear masks? That's the point of a masquerade, Steve snarked. No shit. But it's already a costume party. Why does it have to be a costume masquerade? Steve shrugged. Because it's Nat, and what she wants, she gets. Besides, what's so bad about masks? I think it's kind of fun. Well, we now know that Steve likes to...
We know what Steve's kink is. Wait.
Bucky rolled his eyes. You're just mad the mask blocks your smolder and you can't get a girl on just your personality. I don't need the smolder to be charming. Steve scoffed into his beer. Yeah, you kinda do. Excuse you, I got best personality in high school. No, you didn't. You got most dramatic pouty face.
I'm sorry, why are these awards?
I don't know. Tomato. Oh, I'm so sorry. Tomato. He shrugged. And that's the only because you beat me out for best eyes. I still say it was rigged. Whatever helps you sleep at night, Buck. Oh, and there's the pout. Punk. Jerk.
Ooh.
Oh,
I'm
here we go.
feeling more sexual tension
seen...
between them than anyone else.
Okay, because this is a Bucky reader fanfic, it says, have you seen YN, which means your name. You put your name in it.
Right, okay.
I'm not going to put my name in it, because I think that would be awkward. So we're going to call her Jane. No, that's Thor's girlfriend. I can't call her Jane.
That's also my grandmother.
Yeah, I know.
Let's call her... Phyllis, yeah, okay.
Have you seen Phyllis tonight? It's not working for me. I can't say Phyllis.
What's your what's your Russian name?
Anya.
Should we use Anya?
Okay, great.
Yeah.
My Russian personality coming out. Have you seen Anya tonight? No, that sounds so wrong. Bucky asked quickly, trying to divert the conversation.
She's laughing.
Not yet, but she's got to be around here somewhere. She came over hours ago to help Nat set up. I haven't even seen a glimpse of her.
Not even a glimpse.
I'm making myself laugh. I can't. What did she come as? She wouldn't tell me. I'm going to go try to find her. She doesn't give me crap about my personality. She gives me more crap than I do, Steve barked out a laugh. Yeah, but at least she's cute. Fortunately for Bucky, the masks hid Steve's annoying, knowing look. Bucky asked around, but no one had seen you, and Natasha was too busy making out with Clint for him to ask her.
That's a world we'll get into another time.
Oh yeah, not in fan fictions, the people pair Nat and Clint together. It's come up a lot, I've seen. He ended up back in the kitchen, considerably drunker after a few shots and preparing to bail on the party. Before he could leave, a hand encircled his bicep.
Oh yeah, it did.
Hello, Hatter. Care to dance? Bucky was stunned by the woman standing in front of him. She was dressed in a sexy Alice in Wonderland costume with black satin mask. Her perfectly painted lips were curled up into a confident smile. Looking her up and down, he grinned. I'd love to, doll. What's your name? She smirked over her shoulder as she pulled him towards the dance floor. Just call me Alice.
Who the fuck is Alice?
We love that song. She placed his hands on her hips as she swayed them to the music. He was mesmerized by her. He couldn't help himself as she pressed her back against him. He leaned down and kissed her neck. And when she tilted her head to the side to give him better access, he nipped before sucking a dark hickey onto her neck, making her moan.
Oh, God!
Abruptly, she turned in his arms and crashed her lips into his. Bucky's hands roamed over her body, pulling her flush against him. She tugged on his hair so she could kiss down his neck. Do you want to get out of here? My apartment is around the corner. Bucky panted. She nodded eagerly, and he took her hand and led her out of the party. They were both a little wobbly as they giggled their way down the block. Bucky's hand never left hers, and when they got into the elevator in his apartment, he leaned down and kissed her, mouth slanting over hers as she backed him against the wall, tugging at the lapels of his jacket. They didn't separate when the elevator doors slid open, spinning down the hallway instead. One hand was at the back of her neck as he fiddled for his keys, and he growled when he couldn't get the door open. I'm loving your look right now. You're gonna have to give me a second here, doll. Her response was to move her lips away from his and down to his collarbone. Yeah, that's helpful, he chuckled. She smirked and pulled away as he finally seated the key in the lock and pushed the door open.
He's going to put his key in her lock.
That's what I was thinking. He fumbled around for the light switch as she made herself comfortable on the couch. Before he could warn her, his newfie?
Wait.
Newfie. Is this a type of dog? I'm guessing it's a type of dog.
Yeah. Is it slang for a Newfoundland?
Maybe. Anyway, back to it. Sidetracked. Came bounding out of the back room and leapt right up onto the couch next to her. Tank, get down.
Tank!
Bucky ordered. Tank!
Tank, bitch! Tank, get down!
The dog looked at him for a moment before licking Alice's cheek, making Bucky pause. He's usually not good around strangers. She smiled, scratching behind the beast's ears, and hummed, dropping his head to her lap. He's just a big softy, she cooed. Aren't you, boy? Aren't you, boy? You're just a big
Aren't
softy,
you?
you are there. Well, since it looks like my pup stole my seat and my thunder, would you like some wine? Sure. As he poured 2 glasses of wine, Tank started keening and Bucky groaned, knowing he'd have to take him out or he'd never shut up. Handing her a glass, he sighed. I'm really sorry. I've got to take him out real quick. Make yourself comfortable. I'll be right back. Sure thing, handsome. He leaned down and kissed her as he placed his top hat on her head. For safekeeping, he told her with a wink before shedding his coat and mask and grabbing Tank's leash. Come on, boy, let's go. Bucky and Tank circled the block twice before Tank did his business and stopped whining. You've got the worst timing, you know that, bud? Bucky was whistling as he exited the elevator and Tank happily trotted beside him. But when he opened the door, Bucky swore. The apartment was empty, the top hat lay abandoned on the couch, and 1 wineglass was rimmed with red lipstick. Damn it, guess you're a good guard dog after all. You watched Bucky return with Tank through the peephole of her apartment, frowning at the disappointed look on his face. You're a coward, Anya, you muttered to yourself as you untied the black silk mask and slipped out of the Alice in Wonderland costume, chucking them both in your closet. End of chapter 1.
Ooh. Anya's a sneaky bitch. Well, that was quite something. So I'll read you just this excerpt that I found. So I'm really going in with this for Liz because of the shock factor. I wanted to see what she would have to say about it. So I'll read the first couple of paragraphs so you get what the story is, and then I'm going to go down to the bit of this that I found that
Just
my core. It's called...
Okay, let yourself recalibrate a minute.
It's called Universal Gravitation. And it is Loki on his first day as a mathematics teacher. Just a student teacher coming down from college to teach for a few months so that he could see what it was like to teach a real class. And it seems that Thor Odinson and Tony Stark have taken an unusual interest. I'll go from this. Mr. Rogers, Loki is hesitant to approach the older man. Would you mind if I sit here? Not at all, Loki. The history teacher smiles warmly, gesturing to the empty seat in front of him and Mr. Banner. And you don't have to be so formal, you know. Steve would work just fine. But Loki's not really a teacher, and he's about 10 years younger than him, so he'll decide to stick with Mr. Rogers, thanks very much. All right. I was wondering if you could tell me about Thor Odinson and Tony Stark. Realising that's too generic, he adds, I mean, are they friends at all? Images of those 2 bruised faces resurface in his mind, and despite himself, he worries. Oh, those 2. Steve chuckles, but it sounds more weary than amused. I think they may be acquaintances. I don't really pay attention, I'm sorry. Loki raises an eyebrow. Really? But of course their egos tend to clash, Mr. Banner puts in. It's inevitable considering that kids tend to be rather big-headed at this age. Mr. Rogers nods gravely in agreement, and then the 2 launch into a discussion about teenagers, and then Loki feels awkward and gets up to eat with Miss Lewis instead. It is not food nor a drink, it is a flower, reads the note next to the rose. Loki murmurs out loud to himself, picking up the flower. This is actually a little flattering. He makes a note to ask if Mr. Banner has any unused vases to spare, then tucks the flower away before opening the door for his next class. All right, remember that there's a test on Monday. You're dismissed. Loki is getting used to this. Grades are always the hardest to deal with, but he forces himself to put up with them because he'll have no choice someday when he's a real teacher. Thor is still sitting in his seat, slumped forward with his head buried into the crook of his elbow. When Loki taps his shoulder, he realizes he's still asleep. It's a bit of a blow to his pride. Thor, he says, shaking the blonde-haired youth's shoulder. Wake up, class is over. He's considering giving detention for the first time, but then Thor raises his head and Loki sees the dark shadows below his eyes, as if he hasn't slept for a while. Are you okay? I'm fine, Thor replies gruffly, rubbing his eyes. He stands, lifts Loki's hand to his mouth, and brushes his knuckles against his lips. Sorry. Then he shuffles out of the classroom, obviously still not quite awake yet. Okay, Loki says long after he's gone. He looks down at his hand, betwixt confusion and satisfaction. Okay, he repeats, and goes off to finally ask Mr. Banner about that vase, because he has 8 roses on hand that wilt if he doesn't find a place for them soon. Speaking of the roses, maybe it isn't Tony after all. Or maybe so. Tony freezes in the middle of setting what would be the 10th rose down, obviously surprised to see his teacher come in 15 minutes earlier than usual. This isn't what it looks like. Loki snorts, shrugging off his jacket. What is it then? Yeah, it probably is what it looks like, Tony shrugs. He crosses the room and formally hands the rose to Loki himself, smirking, "For you, m'lady." Even though I'm not your real teacher, I can still give out detention slips. Not impressed with my chivalry, okay? Damn, that means Thor taught me all that for nothing. Excuse me, Loki wants to say, but then Tony pats him on the shoulder and walks past him with a cheery, "See you first period." This isn't right, Loki has the mind to think. But it's really hard not to be smiling right now. The next day, as he's walking to the teacher's lounge to eat lunch, he is ambushed. Correction, wrestled into a closet. Another correction, wrestled into a closet and then trapped between 2 chests. This isn't food, water, or flowers, he feels the murmur against his neck. Then hears a second voice continue, "This is the best thing that's ever happened to you." No, Loki says, freeing a hand from the ridiculously tight space. This is the janitor's closet. His fingers manage to find the light switch, and when he flicks it up, the room is immediately brightened. In front, Tony is pouting. From the back, Thor's arms around Loki tighten. We're trying... Oh my god! We're trying to ravish you here, Tony says pointedly, then nudges the switch again. In the dark once more, Loki leans into warm arms, and most likely against better judgment, lets it happen. That is out of control.
Let's it happen. You're a teacher. They're your pupils, right?
Yep.
No.
It says in the introduction to universal gravitation, it says, "I don't think I've mentioned this before, but I've secretly loved these 3 for a while now, separately and together. More, together a little more so."
Okay.
I'm shook.
Merry Christmas.
Wow. What are your thoughts on Mad for You? Why didn't Anya do it? Why isn't Anya doing it? Why isn't she getting in there? Why has she run away?
Well, it's a masquerade ball. They're supposedly, I guess, friends. But she was the one who came on to him, and now she's gone away. It's the Ross and Rachel scenario, bro.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
So she ran away. But to be fair, let's be honest, I probably would do the same thing. Be like, oh, this is fun. Right, bye now.
And I mean,
God, no.
for what I just read you, I don't know what to say.
I don't know.
That really is fan fiction gone wild there. Well, that has been fan fiction with Brother Nay, and I hope you enjoyed. And if you'd like to read either of those, they're linked in the description below the video. Please like and subscribe. It's not always this weird over here, but it usually is pretty weird. And maybe we'll continue with Anya's story, and we'll see if she ever slips off that mask.
In front of him, not in the privacy of her own door.
No.
Hey.